The Missouri Conservation Commission recently directed staff of the Conservation Department to develop a plan for restoring elk into a specific area of southeast Missouri. Elk once were native to Missouri, but overharvest and habitat destruction in the 1800s eliminated this species from the wild. Prompted by interest from the public and conservation groups, the Missouri Department of Conservation completed an elk reintroduction feasibility study 10 years ago. That effort was suspended at the time because of the emerging issue of chronic wasting disease, or CWD, and concerns about adequate habitat. In July, the Conservation Commission directed the department to reinitiate the development of an elk restoration plan. It was prompted by renewed interest from the public and conservation groups, increased knowledge of CWD, improved wildlife habitat, and the successes of elk restoration in other states over the past decade. This plan will be presented to the Commission in mid-October. The plan calls for releasing up to 150 elk into 346 square mile restoration zone around Peck Ranch Conservation Area in Shannon, Carter, and Reynolds counties. The initial release could take place as soon as 2011. This area has suitable habitat for elk, few roads, and limited agricultural activity. The area also has 79% of the land in public trust or at least open to public use. In August, the Conservation Department hosted open house forums in Van Buren, Eminence, and Ellington, towns in or near the proposed elk restoration zone, to learn citizens' views on the idea of elk restoration. Approximately 300 people attended the meetings. The majority of written comments received were in favor of elk restoration. Livestock and wildlife health is critically important to us. Under the proposed plan, elk would be quarantined before and after arriving in Missouri. We have worked very closely with the Missouri Department of Agriculture and state veterinarian to develop stringent animal health protocols to prevent the possible spread of diseases from imported elk to domestic livestock and other wildlife. These protocols are more stringent than any existing disease protocols for livestock or privately imported elk and deer. All imported elk would be fitted with microchips and radio collars to permit tracking their movements and health monitoring. The proposed elk restoration plan includes measures to address elk that move onto properties where they are not wanted. A contingency plan has been developed in which a Department of Conservation employee will make an on-site visit within 24 hours of getting a call and take a series of steps to resolve the issue. Hunting will be the primary tool in Missouri to maintain a desired population size and to help keep elk in the restoration zone. We have researched restoration efforts of other states and are using that information to model our plan. For example, in Kentucky, elk are kept within their designated elk range by allowing hunters to harvest during their deer season any elk that has wandered outside of that range. This has been an effective way of keeping elk where they want them. We know from other states that elk vehicle collisions do occur, but are infrequent. Elk behavior is different from white-tailed deer, especially during the breeding season. Bull elk assemble groups of cows and guard them rather than pursuing individual females, as white-tailed deer do. As an example, Arkansas has a larger elk herd, around 500 animals, than is proposed in Missouri. The roe density is nearly twice as great in Arkansas's elk restoration zone as in Missouri's proposed elk restoration zone. Records maintained by the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission show 1 or 2 elk vehicle accidents occur annually since the elk restoration began 25 years ago. According to the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, statistics from the eastern states with elk restoration programs show no human fatalities from collisions with elk, and automobile insurance rates are no higher in states with wild free-ranging elk. The Conservation Department is considering elk restoration for several reasons, including citizen requests, ecological benefits from restoring a native species, and economic benefits to Missouri through tourism and hunting. Complete details about the proposed elk restoration plan can be found on the Missouri Department of Conservation's website at missouriconservation.org.